A shrew stepped out from its burrow. It loitered nervously, sniffing the moisture. We had the same thought, me and the shrew. Hunker down against nature's wrath, but fill your belly first. I was higher on the food chain. I tucked into a dive. My wings pressed tight to my body. Air whistled past. Mountains, forest, and sky, all a blur, a flashing streak. Everything but the shrew, shifting agitatedly, chomping on a seed. My talons struck, embedded and squeezed, drained life instantly. Wonder what it's like? Dig your fingernails into a too-ripe peach. Rip sections off with your teeth. Gulp them without chewing. The kill is something like that. So birds of prey eat exactly the same as a 1-year-old baby. Oh, look at little Kyle ripping out that rodent's intestines. He's so grown up. Soon you'll be ready for Cheerios.
Shows us all the places that we want to go and look.
Our book opens with Tobias, having recently regenerated into a blonder child, on the hunt, trying to find some food before a nasty storm breaks out. This is the first time we've been in Tobias' headspace since number 33, The Illusion, not counting alternate timelines, and that means it's the first time we get to see the long-term effects of Taylor's torture. Namely, Taylor's disembodied voice keeps popping into Tobias' head to throw insults at him. I don't think about the kill anymore. I'm a hawk and human. I'll explain later. Just try to understand that the hawk must feed the human. It has to happen. I don't think about it anymore. That's a lie. You vile little bird. Do you realize what you've done? Do you realize what you've become? You're trapped. You have to live out your life as a bird. You see, Tobias' trauma and self-pity have grown so strong as to form its own little Taylor avatar. Sadly, not a very creative avatar. All it can really do is be all, yeah, you suck, suck, asshole. Trying out the insult comic dog would have been more creative than this voice thing. I guess it's been going on in some capacity for the last 10 books, which makes reading some of those previous books kind of amusing. Yeah, Tobias, you vile evil bird, you're in Atlantis. What's a bird doing in Atlantis? You suck. You're disgusting. Are those fish people? You're in Atlantis. You're a bird in Atlantis. Thankfully, Tobias gets distracted by a bunch of helicopters, and soon learns there's a search party out in the woods today looking for a deaf child named Bobby. God dang it, Bobby. Despite being in the middle of a particularly bad episode of trauma-induced flashbacks, despite that the rest of the Animorphs are waiting for him at the barn, despite the raging storm coming that will make flying nearly impossible, Tobias decides to look for Bobby. You know, Animorphs doesn't have a lot of straight-up superhero moments like this, times unrelated to the Yeerk invasion where they've saved people. Marco's saved that one guy from muggers, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's a bunch of, animal pranks. So it's a nice change of pace seeing Tobias get involved with all of this. He flies around and locates Bobby in a pit, telling him to stay calm. I can't even imagine what a deaf person would make a thought speak. Tobias finds Bobby's father and tells him, "Hi, I'm a magic-talking bird. Let me lead you to your kid." Thankfully, Bobby's father believes in the magic of parental love and allows Tobias to lead him to his kid. This little Disney movie moment cheers Tobias up considerably, and we can't have that. So just as he's leaving the scene, a golden eagle shows up from nowhere and just royally beats the shit out of him for no reason. Oh, silly Tobias, you don't get to have happiness. This is the third book by everyone's favorite ghostwriter based on that poll I did once, Ellen Giroux. And for the third time in a row, I still haven't found out anything about her. The only new thing I've stumbled on since then is a small essay on Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Aurora Leigh, written by a Ellen Giroux in 1993, but absolutely no way to know if it's the same person. Of course she was going to write this book. The whole Tobias Taylor story seems to be more her baby than Kay Applegate's. She introduced the character of Taylor in number 33, The Illusion, and in number 41, The Familiar, while not the least bit related to that story, was pretty much the only book to really reference it, showing us a Tobias who is still damaged after the whole torture thing. Anybody else writing a Taylor story would be sacrilege at this point. Tobias wakes up in a cage in a college veterinarian's office. He's pretty busted up, but the place is too busy to morph to heal his injuries. Vets are trying to care for him, and there are cameras recording the room. It turns out everyone knows about this heroic little hawk, and already newspaper stories are being printed about it. This is bad. The moment the Yeerks find out about this, they'll come in hard to try and get Tobias. His only hope is if the Animorphs see the article too and get here first. Oh, hope. Tobias and hope go together like peanut butter and cyanide. Not only do the Yeerks show up first, but two separate groups of Yeerks show up at the same time and fight each other over who gets to take the bird home. Tobias is basically a football, getting passed around from controller to controller, human to Hork-Bajir, unable to do anything while the Drakon beams are flying. And then the Animorphs show up. And then, guess who? Rachel froze, sniffing the air hard. I looked up. Sleek, suede boots, fashionably worn jeans. The torso and head were in shadow. Who was this? Some innocent vet student trapped by the battle? Her arm appeared behind her back. Her fingers clutched a Drakon beam. My heart stopped. The girl's fingers glistened and sparkled in the semi-darkness, the way real flesh fingers never do. Taylor, Rachel hissed, her voice rough with rage. Make one move, Bear, and your next stop is the taxidermist. Rachel, we need backup. Hurry, get out of bed!
Nope. Chuck Testa.
Taylor shoots Rachel, incapacitating her, and then attempts to gas Tobias with her robo-arm. The only thing Tobias can do is reach through his cage and acquire Taylor, hoping she'll get drowsy and drop him. But it doesn't do much, and Tobias is rendered unconscious again. He wakes up, surrounded by a bunch of mounted Drakon beams and sensors, set to go off if Tobias does any sudden moves. It's all very jigsaw-y. Taylor is drinking soup from a mug, and between sips delivers her offer. She kidnapped Tobias because she needs the help of the Andalite bandits. It seems a civil war is brewing among the Yeerks. There are those who wish to end the war, dissolve the Council of 13, try and build some kind of working relationship with hosts, and start a democracy. It's not the already existing Yeerk peace movement, but possibly related. At first, Taylor seems like she'd be an odd fit for a good guy Yeerk faction, but it does kind of make a twisted sense. One, her tutelage under Visor 3 gave her an inside look at the Council/Visor/Sub-Visor system, which I remind you is barely 40 years old, so she's well aware of how broken it is with all the infighting and backstabbing. Two, while she might have been a willing participant in this broken system for a while, after her failure with the anti-morphing ray, she's now on the Yeerk shit list and is probably interacting with Yeerk factions she normally wouldn't associate with. 3, she's already a twisted parody of what a symbiotic human-Yeerk relationship would look like. I could actually buy her as the poster child for this movement. We're the good guys. The evil good guys. During her conversation with Tobias, she lets a few facts slip. She glanced at me. Many of us realize that the eternal wars have to end, and that the loss on Lyra, the stalled offensive on Earth, and now the apparent bungling on the Anati planet have discredited the current leadership enough that it cannot survive. Anati? Wasn't Visitor 1 in charge of Anati? Didn't the Council of 13 threaten to execute her if she failed? Taylor, who, by the way, now just assumes the Andalites patched their morphing technology to allow morphs longer than 2 hours, that's why she still assumes Tobias is one of the bandits, she gives him the address to a website and tells him that if the Andalite bandits wish to work with her, they should send a message through the site. Taylor leaves, the sensors turn off after a moment, and Tobias is allowed to go. He morphs to heal himself, smartly checks himself for implants, and catches up with the rest of the Animorphs. Most of the Animorphs don't buy what Taylor said, though Cassie at least entertains the idea that maybe she switched sides, Cassie having had the most direct contact with the Yeerk peace movement. While they talk it out, we learn that Axe has been making a little money between missions. "Axe, this is way cool," Rachel whispered. "But how did you do it? A cell phone? Internet access? That's more allowance than I'll ever see." "You mean because Macy's has you on that pesky outfit per week plan?" Marco sneered. "I'd like to think that an Andalite who once made contact with his homeworld could arrange web access," Jake said. "It has not been easy," Axe said somberly. He was using an old car battery for power. All the wires and tape patches spilling from the jerry-rig setup made Axe look pretty clever to me. "I reconditioned several other discarded computing modules and sold them to Computer Renaissance. I thought the money would be sufficient. I did not know that cell phones and net access require a credit card." I love this idea that someone, somewhere, is browsing a website run by some Yeerks. On a computer Axe refurbished with an operating system Elfangor helped develop. Brings a new meaning to the term Alienware. So Axe hooks up his makeshift computer to the internet and... "Excellent," Marco said, smiling. Oh, wait! The James Bond homepage. Play the teaser trailer, Axe. Listen to me. "Ooh, Marco, I hate to break it to you, but the world is not enough, ain't that hot?" So they go to Taylor's website, www.earthisours.com, totally the name of a website of someone trying to bring democracy to her species. The Animorphs have decided to at least hear out Taylor's plan, so they send a message to the site and she replies, telling them to meet her at a Borders bookstore. The Animorphs need a human morph that can't be traced back to them, so after a little clothes shopping, Tobias shows up at Borders, morphed as Taylor. It's a good move in throwing Taylor off balance, but it's weird that the book makes no comment about how Tobias feels walking around in a woman's body. I mean, sure, this is a book for 13-year-olds. We're not going to have Tobias playing with his boobs for 10 minutes, even though that totally would have happened off screen. But we're talking about a cisgendered guy experiencing the other side of things, and Tobias doesn't have a thing to say about it. It's kind of disappointing.